Okay, in today's video, I am going to talk about outsourcing PPC work. It's not a topic that comes up a lot, but it actually does have a big impact on your results if you know how to outsource work properly to a team of contractors that may not even have to be in-house. Of course, employees doing this stuff works better with outside contractors, and I'll explain why in this video. In order to pump up the results that you're going to be able to get and or just scale the results that you're going to get, so you're able to put in a few hours of work of your time as the business owner, as the investor into this campaign, and get out a whole lot of results. And another thing that outsourcing can do is save you a bunch of money on a very expensive PPC firm, which if you've watched some of my other videos, I mentioned how cheap PPC firms that are a few $100s a month, they look like a good deal. Stay away from them pretty much is my opinion. It costs several $1,000s a month for a good PPC service. If you don't have that, you're just starting out, building your own little team of contractors and then outsourcing most of the work, but not too much of the work, can be your way to get a service that was normally $3 to $5 grand a month for something that's going to cost you, let's say, $5,000 to set up for the most part initially. Or another way to look at it is, instead of what these firms would charge you 30 grand to set up, you could set up for 5 using this ninja method, where you're going to do a little bit of work, not much, and just the key work that you need to do to be able to get that 8-to-1 or 10-to-1 return on your ads. So anyway, how to outsource most of the PPC work on your company's campaigns and still make bank from your ads. So anyway, I have a short list of things that I got to mention about outsourcing, the do's and the don'ts, how to do it. This is all stuff, by the way, I personally do at our firm in terms of, I don't do it exactly like I stated on the video here, but what I'm trying to convey here is things are structured, and the reason why it takes a PPC agency versus a single PPC strategist or contractor to do everything is because there's a lot of individual pieces and components of actually getting and creating a sales funnel that can get PPC results for your company and get the return that you're looking for, that it takes individual specialties of people to get done. You could hire a high-priced firm and they'll be able to do that work for you, but you yourself or somebody else by themselves aren't going to get nearly the same results if you break things up. So we specialize. There's individual people, at least what we do, that are masters at unique individual aspects of getting the results. And so it's much like if you had an assembly line and each person's an expert at that individual part, but there's still a master PPC strategist that overlooks everything, and with that they can command a team, get the results that you need, analyze or QA the results, and then get the impact as if everything everything was done by the super superior person, but actually even better, because no matter how good that super superior person is, they won't be able to do things like design, which are also key in getting PPC results that a lot of people neglect. And so, and with that said, our firm is kind of, as a side topic, more like going into a doctor's office. You speak to me. I know how to diagnose the problem, and then there's other people that help execute, which is what this outsourcing strategy is about, and how it should be done, why it should be done. So I mentioned that because that's more so, the type of structure that you should have. You'll build yourself a team. It'll take you some time, but you're going to save a whole lot of money going to another firm, unless you don't have time, of course, and you can always come back later and hire that specialized firm, and also know what you're doing at that point so you don't get snowed, which is important, obviously, is by identifying, no matter how good you are at trying to pick a firm by looking at their resources, you will never know completely until you test them out for 6 or 12 months, and then you can identify how to score them, and have that firm that you want to work with for years, but know how to do it because you kind of went through the process yourself, learned what worked, what didn't work, which is what most people don't have, and why they get, basically screwed over by so many PPC companies. Anyway, as far as the outsourcing, how you're going to build this for yourself, I have a short list of things to cover here. How to do it the way that, in general, how we're structured here. So you basically have your own mini firm of specialists that can help you execute, and you knowing your business and what your customers and or clients want to hear when being sold to, and that you can obviously offer to, of course. How to all put it together into a medley that's going to be able to get you the good results on your campaign. So why outsourcing is at least some of your PPC work is critical. So essentially, like I said before, you can save a ton of money. What it costs to hire, pay $30,000 to get something done right in terms of setting up initial campaigns and ads and banner ads and landing pages and tracking and so on and so forth, you can do for about $5,000 at yourself if you're the one personally managing the project. Another way to antiquate it is if you were to do home remodeling and you were the one that actually put together the team of contractors, team of subs, you're going to save a ton of money. Well, this is the same thing. You obviously have to know a little bit about a PPC, but a lot of it is pretty self-explanatory if you just think about how the consumer wants to see things and you look at how other people in your space are already doing it as a model. Not just anybody, but the top guys, which is what I'm going to get into here. The other thing you're going to be able to do is, as I kind of mentioned before, so there's certain things that one person can't do, certain design, certain levels of copywriting that you're not going to get doing it yourself, and you're going to get much better results using other people. Then the amount of time that it takes to get really good results on a campaign, like we got to guarantee all our clients' results initially on our campaigns here. So we have to do more than what other people are willing to do, and that usually takes hundreds of actual hours to set up a campaign, which is why it can cost tens of thousands sometimes to get guaranteed results on a campaign in terms of time and effort and labor put in. And so for that, and that it takes a lot of time, a lot of times you don't have the time to actually put in all the little, the actual physical effort to get the results, because, unlike what some people want to think or do think was when they're starting out, you can't spend an hour setting up a PPC campaign and hope to stomp your competition that's been there making millions of dollars with that. And only about 10 to 20% of people in your space really make 80% of the profit. Most people are either making a little bit or losing money and don't realize it. If you're going to be able to kick out one of those guys, you have to do a minimum of as how good the top 1, 2, or 3 are doing, but preferably better to guarantee that you're going to make, if you want to make millions from these ads yearly, long term, that's where your mark needs to be. And if you just say, I don't need that, I just need it to be good enough, you take that approach, probably won't work at all. And so anyway, this team can put some sanity into the process that you only have to spend 5 or 10 hours, your personal time. You pay a small team upwards of, total all in $5,000, and you have a really great campaign that you didn't have to spend $30,000 going through. Again, somebody who will just literally do it all for you. So it just depends on where you're at in your business, where, in terms of the time that you have, and potentially if you want to scale, if you do it by yourself, then you're going to get much better results if you use this team because you're not going to be able to do the advanced strategies that go beyond what people are willing to do that get the really great results. And I have a lot of videos about that, different strategies that I use, and that almost the common theme with almost all of them is it physically seems like a lot of work, because that's what it takes to really create a good experience for the user, and what's going to be more than what other people are willing to do. Therefore, those two things combined get you the above average returns, where the actual 8 to 10 to 1 ROI that you're looking for, most companies are looking for, is actually at. PPC is war. You got to be able to do more, way more than other people if you really want to have those type of returns, for sure, without question, in your the business that you're running there. So anyway, second thing on our list here is, so what do you actually outsource then on your way to actually making the millions on your campaign? So there's certain things you do outsource, certain things you don't. What you do actually outsource is anything that involves the actual execution of the plan. So in other words, the strategy itself. You're going to be the one, even if you're not a PPC expert, you could come up with an idea as to what people are going to type in into Google to find you, especially if you spend adequate, hour, 2 hours actually deeply thinking about the topic. What do my customers type in? Oh, well, I sell printer toner. Well, how do they actually search for it? Well, their toner is gone, and then they actually look on the unit and they see the model number of the toner, and then they Google it. Then you want your ad to show up there. Now that's one step further than most people go, but you could do that you could come up with that on your own without being a PPC expert. It's inherent, obvious kind of knowledge if you think about it, right? So your job is to identify what the strategy is in terms of the keywords that you set up, the type of things that your ads need to say that you know from being in business that your customers want to hear. We're assuming you're in business already. If not, you'll go to a support forum where somebody is complaining about certain things or evaluating and asking other people for advice on what to buy, what they're saying. That can go into your ad to keep it to be a halfway good ad writer by default, or just to be able to at least plan the ads, which is what this strategy here I'm going to give you is about. And then, of course, where you're sending people to the landing page or what section of the site they go to, ultimately being able to identify, at least look at what the top person in your space is doing and think, how can I make it a little bit more convenient for the user in terms of offering more information or more precise information. It's more specific to what the user's looking for this particular keyword when they type it in. Once you identify what those things are, you also, of course, look at your competition's ads, their keywords. You could find out what banner ads they're running if you use what runs where, particularly potentially moat.com. And then from there, you can identify and just create a map. Okay, this kind of keyword to this type of ad to this kind of landing page should work. The competition is using this already, and I think I can do a little bit better if we just do da-da-da-da. You got your strategy. From there, you use your team to actually execute and deliver and make a reality of what your plan actually is. And so, what you do is, me personally, I would hire a PPC, solo guy, which I would do here in your situation to keep it simple. Once you have all that planned out, tell him to write you a text ad that's as good as what he thinks it can write, giving all the information you gave him about what's different about your business, how your product or service is superior to the competition, what's your edge, and he'll write the ad. And that ad can then, once you have it and you've approved it, go to a second data entry team, or person, I should say. It's just an individual person is all you really need. And that person can create a copy of that same ad that you've approved for all the other keywords that you're running in the account. If you watched other videos about account structure, I always recommend one keyword for every ad, because that's what the users want to have, and you're going to have way easier time getting that 8-to-1 return. If you don't do that, it's questionable, but if you do that 8-to-1 return on your campaigns, it's actually really easy. So they can create all the ads, and then ultimately, like in terms of you have a designer that's going to make your banner ads for your remarketing ads, and if you don't know how to the idea behind those, you can see again some of our other videos on the remarketing ads and how to do those. But you go to moat.com, you look at your competition's ads. You look at it, you find one that logically looks like it can work. If there's none in your space you can find, you find another ad in a similar niche that looks visually good. You go to the designer, say, make it look like this with this layout, and put the language in here that that most customers just want to hear, and then therefore you have your ad. Design of your landing page. Again, go to your competition's landing page, see what they got. You want the very top guy doing it in terms of what who's spending the most. And you could actually see who spends the most going to spyfu.com and going in, typing in every one of your competition that you see. You'll have to refresh your screen a bunch of times to see all your competition advertising, because the people at the top of Google rotate out. People don't know that, but find out who the top spender is, and then his landing page, try to do what he's doing, but a little bit better. And part of that's just the design quality of the page, part of it's the information. But if you go to the designer and say, hey, can you make me something that visually looks better than this with this information that declares what it is that is different and or useful about our product or service that actually makes it better than other products or services in the space. And by the way, if you don't have an edge like that, then you should create one. And there's many ways to create one. If you're not the lowest price, you can for better customer service, like phone customer service. Some people, like an e-commerce space, will be willing to do that and have actual experts answer the phone, so on and so forth. I won't get into all the details there. But half of just getting the results is just being able to physically have a better offer and going the extra mile on what you deliver physically and making sure that's apparent in the advertising you have. The keywords, once you identify the type of keywords, like going back to what I said before about like the toner experiment, where you will find, if we found out how people actually physically find the toner from all our competition, they type in the model number of the toner. Well, once you have that, you can give that to a data entry person to go and find, or the PPC guy, and find all possible keywords like that using SpyFu and Google's keyword tool, Ubersuggest, there's other keyword tools out there, and just find hundreds of different keywords. And then from there, you can try all the permutations of the keywords they found and run a test campaign on Google to find which ones are eligible to be bid on. They come back to you with the list, and you can review that list and then potentially narrow down, and then you have your keyword list without much effort there. You start with the idea, then you check afterwards what they come up with. And then after you launch a campaign, everybody has a different standard of what their campaign's to do. If you don't know what you could pay for a customer or a lead, so on and so forth, you identify what your margins are and what you can afford to pay before you run any ads at all, or you do it now. And once you've done that, you can hire a data entry person even, or a PPC guy again if you want to come in once a quarter, and they can use what is called a bid adjustment formula to adjust all the bids on all the different levels of your account. The age demographic level, the device level, time of the day people are searching, day of the week people are searching, what state the user's from, what zip code the user's from, what income demographic they're from. And so if your desire is to get an 8-to-1 return, you have a 6, you could tell that to the person doing your bid adjustments, and then they can then change the bid, so you're now getting an 8-to-1 return. And sales might be a little bit less doing it, but at least you get the return you want. So it's not a matter of if you're going to get the return, it's when, by using the data in your account and through a bid adjustment formula. It's literally formulaic. It's the same way, it's done the same way every time. Potentially, you just cut out the 20% of waste that's there, and boom, you have your return. But that's something that data entry people can do for you automatically, or the PPC person, the contractor that you hire to help you do that once a quarter. Once a quarter, you can have them, or once a month, have them add negative keywords for you on your behalf. They can, of course, run the keywords, negative keywords by you, so you just have to check it when they're all done. That's quick. And you tell them basically to, stay away from competitor names or not, and then to stay away from terms that are related to people looking for information. Sometimes you want those, sometimes you don't. Some of the time that they work, you can ask them for advice on that, but you could just check it once a month. You're literally talking about spending 5 minutes a month then to check those negative keywords over. Then you have something good. But anyway, from there, you define the strategy, and you can get the general trend here. You have your team do the work, and then anything that's the public is going to see or go live in your account, you review. And it's all logical for the business owner, to know what should work and what makes sense or what doesn't make sense. And so it's always coming up with a general idea, and then they come up with a template, and then you approve that, and then they take that template and roll it out. So you have all your other ads and all your other landing pages that incorporate the same idea. And then when those are done, you check them over, and then you have somebody else through a Google ad editor upload them to your account, turn it on. You, of course, can have a person that specializes in Google Tag Manager to set up the exact tracking that you want to track what your cost per customer you're getting is, and compare that to your notes before as to what for your margins you need to target. And then after the ads are running, you can see how close you are right away without having to ask anybody, and then that it'll eventually get to the point you want because you've got somebody adjusting your bids the way that I mentioned before to get your ROI where it needs to be after 3 months, 6 months, at the worst 12 months into the process, and having enough data to be able to make those adjustments to where you have statistical significance in your data. And so anything, but the big one is anything that's facing the public, the ads, the landing page, you check those over before they go live. And like as I mentioned, if you do the checking over the negative keywords that you use, and you actually just look at the keywords themselves that you're bidding on, that your team mines for you, you really, without embellishing it, you could spend 10 hours setting up a really great account, which is going to cost $30,000 somewhere else to set it up right, and $5,000 to the team to help you do it. Then from there, you could spend 20 minutes a month managing your account, and your team, by the way, to help you continue to run the maintenance on it, can be like $200 a month. Whereas somebody else to know what they're doing, potentially, or should cost you, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month. And so if you don't have money to hire that big firm yet, and this is your opportunity to save. The last thing I want to mention here is what do you need in terms of contractors to do these individual components of building your ad campaigns on Google or on Bing if you go there. There's 4 actual people that I would normally then do if I were doing this for my own company. I didn't run a firm. You have a data entry person. That person's going to be able to go and do the deep data mining on the keyword research, or it's the PPC guy you hire. But what that main thing. So you have a PPC guy who will write your core ad that you start out with, as mentioned, and that person may do the keyword research for you at least to some level, and then they hand it off to this data entry person who spends many hours finding all the possible keywords and all the permutations of the keywords you have. And they take the core ad that the PPC guy that knows how to write PPC ads came up with and makes all your other ads based upon a general formula that the PPC guy gives to them to make for all the other keywords. I always recommend for banner ads, you have a banner ad for, if you're going to do for every category of product you sell or every category of service you sell, that PPC ad writer can explain for what ads you need, and then it goes to the designer. The designer's already starting out, given an example of what your competition is using. They're going to copy that. Then if they need to make ads for each of your sub-services you have, the PPC ad writer can just tell that person what to do. Programmer, you have a programmer that can do conversion tracking for you. If you need to do a landing page that's not going to be through like Unbounce or a landing page tool to get that on your site, you'll need a programmer. But through that small team right there, you can make things work. And based upon contracting sites nowadays, you can hire the team for as many or as little hours as you want. So you can set everything up, do a big push initially to get it set up right. In PPC, really, it's kind of like war. It's all in the preparation. Whether or not you prepared right initially will decide whether or not your PPC is actually going to work for you long term. If you do it right, it'll be profitable, 3 to 6 or 12 months into the process. And from there, just keep getting more and more profitable, just continuing the things I told you about by adjusting bids and adding the negative keywords. And then going a bit further, you can add more campaigns with more keywords that you've thought about, and stewed over, while you're in the shower, you come up with an idea for a keyword, you could run it through your team. But in general, that's kind of, in essence, the kind of structure that we have and should be done, in that depending on a person's ability, they can do different aspects of the process, to where the data entry person might make 10% of what the PPC guy that you hire makes, but the PPC guy only needs to work 10% of the time. And the designer, because you're giving them examples of the ads and the landing page you need to make, don't need to be a $100 an hour contractor. It could be somebody who's 50 or 30, depending if you go offshore or not. And the programmer, you don't need him for very much. So, but if you do hire a programmer, I recommend the Eastern Europe, and right around the $30 per hour range, you could find somebody that knows GTM to set up your conversion tracking any way that you want. and to code in a landing page, so it's what they call pixel for pixel that the designer comes up for you with. And and to top it all off, as I mentioned before, quality is better than quantity, really, in the depth of what you're doing. So instead of doing everything that you could possibly set up an ad for in your company to represent all the products and or services you offer, I recommend just picking one product or one service. Learn the process, do it the proper way. Do not take any shortcuts. See how the process works, have confidence in it, make money from it, and then you'll be confident to set up all the rest later on. I see a lot of people, they make a mistake right away. They'll try to promote and even do dynamic campaigns, and then which just scan the site and try to have ads show up for people based upon what they're typing in, which is total garbage, by the way, for the most part, unless you offer something that nobody else offers. You have something totally unique like that and it's super in demand. If you are in a competitive space, which most people are, then you don't want to do that, and you want to, going back to what I said in the very beginning, you got to do more than what other people are willing to do, and with the quality in terms of lining up what the consumer would appreciate by seeing an ad just for them based upon just what they searched for, and a page just for them based upon what they just searched for. And when they leave and they haven't converted yet, an ad that tells them just about that product or service that they initially Googled and got to that custom landing page. Because that kind of setup, nobody else is willing to do it. And if you do it, that's where you pretty much always every time get your 8-to-1 or 10-to-1 return. And with a very small chance that you don't get the 10-to-1 return, if that's what you want, your person that goes in and does a bid adjustment on all the various what is called dimensions in your account at the device level, income level, you will get it in a very short period of time. It might take another 6 months. So instead of making money in the first 3 to 6 months, it's 12 months, but it's very close to what you want, at least if you go through all those detailed steps that go beyond what your competition has and what your consumer really wants. Then you'll get to the full return you want after that whole process is done, and you've let things spool up, you've added enough negative keywords, so on and so forth, which is when I say so on and so forth, that's 95% of everything you need to know. So practically speaking, if this is all you do, it'll be everything you need. And would watch a few of my other videos about how to set up campaigns the right way and doing keyword research the right way and setting a landing page up the right way and so on and so forth, which don't take you much time either, and it's all free to you. You will be able to get that 8-to-1 to 10-to-1 return on your campaign. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I have a lot of other videos, like I mentioned, just like this on this channel, so I hope you subscribe. You can get a PhD in PPC through just watching the videos on my channel that I come up with and publish here, specifically because I have 15 years of experience in managing many hundreds of accounts during that time that I know I've cut all through the stuff that doesn't work, so I can tell you what actually does for the most part, pretty much every time it's used. So you don't have to waste all that money testing different things. You can just do what I do that works today, get right to the results. You can also go to guaranteeppc.com/blog. There's step-by-step instructions on how to build the campaigns exactly like I do to guarantee our clients' results. And of course, if you have any questions about outsourcing, you can leave a comment below, and I'll be glad to give you some quick tips or help on what specific things you need to know about outsourcing and build your small team to save you the money on hiring the really expensive high-end firm that actually has the capability of getting the results that you need, where you want the true 10-to-1 return that they aren't going to hide from and be upfront and prove to you that they can get, and or just expand the results that you're getting to take advantage of all the stuff I mentioned and not go nuts spending hundreds of hours yourself actually doing the work. Anyway, hope you enjoyed.